The peregrine falcon does not push against the ground. It falls through the air, in a full stoop, the hunting dive, for which the peregrine is the definitive example. The peregrine falcon reaches speeds of between 380 and 430 kilometers per hour. The confirmed record is 389 kilometers per hour, measured by a researcher who attached a small altimeter and speed recording device to a trained peregrine and analyzed the data afterward. Informal estimates from GPS tracking data suggest some stoops may approach or exceed 400 kilometers per hour. 400 kilometers per hour. The cruising speed of a commercial aircraft is approximately 900 kilometers per hour. The peregrine falcon, in a hunting dive, is moving at nearly half the cruising speed of a jet airliner. It is doing this with wings, feathers, hollow bones, and a nervous system. It is doing this to catch a pigeon. This is the story of the most aerodynamically extreme bird that has ever existed, and the story goes considerably deeper than the speed. The body shape that produces the stoop is the first thing to understand, because the peregrine's physical form is not the result of random variation, but of millions of years of aerodynamic refinement toward a single functional goal: the fastest possible descent in a controlled dive. Every feature of the peregrine's body is optimized for this. The wings are long and pointed. The falcon wing shape, distinct from the broad, rounded wings of hawks and eagles, designed for speed rather than lift efficiency. In a stoop, the wings are pressed close to the body, reducing drag to the minimum possible while maintaining the control surfaces that allow the peregrine to steer. The tail is narrow and folded. The feet are tucked against the body. The result is a shape that wind tunnel testing has confirmed is extraordinarily aerodynamic, approaching the drag coefficient of the most carefully designed human speed vehicles. The eyes are positioned within a bony structure called the supraorbital ridge, a prominent ridge of bone above each eye that shades the eye from the sun and that produces the dark facial markings that give the peregrine its distinctive masked appearance. This ridge is not merely protective. It reduces the glare from the sky above during the upward-looking search phase of hunting, improving visibility against the bright background of a daylight sky in which birds appear as small dark shapes. The eye itself is among the most sophisticated visual organs in the animal kingdom. Like the bald eagle, the peregrine has visual acuity approximately 8 times greater than human acuity, and like the bald eagle, it has 2 foveae. But the peregrine's visual system has an additional feature specific to the demands of high-speed interception. It includes a much higher density of photoreceptors across the retina than most birds, providing high resolution not just at the fovea, but across a wider field of view. At 400 kilometers per hour, the world changes faster than a narrow high-acuity zone can track. The peregrine needs high resolution across a wide field to maintain target tracking as the stoop develops and the geometry of pursuit changes rapidly. The nostril of the peregrine contains a small bony tubercle, a cone-shaped projection inside the nostril opening that breaks up the airflow entering the nostril during the stoop, preventing the high-speed airstream from forcing too much air into the respiratory system and disrupting breathing. Without this structure, the ram pressure of the air at 400 kilometers per hour would make inhalation physically impossible. The peregrine has independently evolved a solution to exactly the same problem that jet engine designers solved with the cone-shaped inlet guides in early jet engines, before those engineers knew that a bird had solved it first. The chest muscles that power flight in birds are typically the largest muscles in the body, and in the peregrine, they are proportionally even larger than in most birds, comprising approximately 20% of total body mass. But the stoop does not use these muscles to generate speed. The stoop is a gravity-powered dive, and the chest muscles are used for the powered flapping that gains the altitude from which the stoop begins, not for the stoop itself. What the muscles are used for during the stoop is control, the subtle adjustments of wing angle and body position that steer the dive and track the target through the changes in relative geometry that occur when a predator at 400 kilometers per hour is pursuing a pigeon at 90 kilometers per hour. The mathematics of the interception problem that the peregrine solves during a stoop is one that aerospace engineers call a pursuit curve calculation, and it is not trivial. The falcon is not simply diving at the target's current position. At the speed differential involved, diving at the current position would result in the target having moved significantly by the time the falcon arrived at that point. The falcon must calculate through its visual system and its nervous system, not through conscious mathematics. The future position of the target, adjusted for the target's likely evasive movements, and aim at that future position while simultaneously managing the aerodynamics of its own extremely fast descent. The visual system processes approximately 150 frames per second, compared to the human visual system's approximately 60. This higher temporal resolution means the Peregrine's brain is receiving more than twice the number of visual updates per second that the human brain receives, allowing it to track fast-moving targets with a temporal precision that human perception cannot approach. The target that appears as a blur to a human observer is, to the Peregrine, a clearly resolved object moving at a specific speed in a specific direction, its trajectory predictable enough to aim at its future position with the accuracy that a successful stoop requires. The kill mechanism is the feature of the Peregrine's hunting that most clearly distinguishes it from the strike and grip approach of eagles and other raptors. The Peregrine does not typically grip its prey with its feet during the stoop. At 400 kilometers per hour, a grip strike would generate forces sufficient to break the falcon's own feet as surely as it would break the prey. Instead, the Peregrine strikes with the rear talon, the same hallux talon that is the eagle's primary weapon, balled into a fist, delivering a blow of such kinetic energy that the impact alone kills or incapacitates the prey instantly. The impact force is calculable from the Peregrine's mass and velocity. A Peregrine weighing approximately 700 grams, striking at 350 kilometers per hour, delivers an impact energy that has been estimated at several times the energy required to kill a pigeon outright. The prey does not suffer. It does not have time to suffer. The nervous system of a pigeon struck by a Peregrine at 350 kilometers per hour receives the signal that something has happened and ceases to function before the signal can complete its journey to the brain. The Peregrine then circles back to where the prey has fallen, retrieves it, and takes it to a perch or to the nest to eat. The entire hunting sequence, the search from altitude, the identification of a target, the positioning for the stoop itself, the retrieval, takes between 1 and 5 minutes from first identification to prey security. The Peregrine's distribution across the planet is the widest of any bird of prey, arguably the widest of any bird species. Peregrines are found on every continent except Antarctica, breeding on every major landmass in the world, adapted to environments ranging from Arctic tundra to tropical rainforest to desert to suburban city centers. The urban population of peregrines, the birds that nest on skyscrapers and bridges in cities from New York to London to Sydney, is one of the more remarkable wildlife adaptations of the modern era, and it deserves examination. Cities provide peregrines with everything they need. Tall structures that substitute for the cliff faces where peregrines traditionally nest, abundant prey in the form of urban pigeons and other birds, and a relative absence of the avian predators, great horned owls, golden eagles, that compete with peregrines for nesting sites in natural environments. The peregrine that nests on a 40-story building in Midtown Manhattan is operating in an environment that its biology was never selected for, but that satisfies all the same functional requirements as the cliff faces of its ancestral habitat. Urban peregrines have become one of the more successful examples of wildlife adapting to human-modified landscapes, and they have also become one of the most watched. Nest cameras on urban peregrine sites attract audiences of thousands of viewers who watch the birds raise their young through the breeding season. The specific intimacy of the Nest camera turning what would be a distant glimpse from the street below into an experience of the birds at close range. The peregrine that stoops at 350 kilometers per hour is also the peregrine that spends hours hunched over eggs in a concrete nest box on the 52nd floor of a bank building. The same animal in a completely different aspect of its existence. The breeding behavior of the peregrine is monogamous and site-faithful in the same way as the bald eagle. Pairs return to the same nest site year after year, and established pairs maintain their partnership across multiple breeding seasons. The male, smaller than the female by approximately 30%, a size difference called reversed sexual dimorphism that appears in raptors generally, and is thought to be related to the hunting advantages of different size classes. Performs elaborate aerial courtship displays that involve the same stoop, spiral dives, and aerial food transfers that the hunting behavior employs. The courtship repurposing the flight capabilities that hunting developed into the language of pair bonding. The female, called a falcon in the traditional falconry vocabulary that gave the peregrine its name. Peregrine means pilgrim or wanderer in Latin, a reference to the bird's migratory behavior. Is larger and more powerful than the male and takes the primary role in incubation and in defending the nest against intruders. The male, called a tiercel in falconry terminology, does the majority of the hunting during the breeding season, bringing prey to the nest and calling to the female to come and retrieve it. The division of labor is specific and consistent. The female size making her a more effective nest defender, and the male's smaller size, giving him slightly greater aerial agility in the hunting domain. The peregrine's place in the human story is longer and more intimate than most birds of prey, because the peregrine was the primary subject of the sport of falconry, the training and use of raptors for hunting, which has been practiced by humans for at least 4,000 years, and which reached its highest cultural expression in the medieval period, when the peregrine was considered the falcon of royalty, and its possession by lower social classes was legally prohibited in several European countries. The falconer's understanding of the peregrine was an empirical science of extraordinary refinement, developed across millennia of close observation of the bird's behavior, its health, its hunting technique, and its responses to training. Medieval falconers understood aspects of the peregrine's physiology and behavior that formal ornithology would not document until the 20th century, because the falconer's livelihood and status depended on understanding the bird correctly, and the feedback from the bird was immediate and specific. The peregrine's conservation story parallels the bald eagle's in its mechanism and in its recovery. DDT, entering the food chain through the insects and small birds that contaminated prey species ate, accumulated in peregrines that ate those prey species, causing eggshell thinning so severe that most eggs collapsed during incubation. By the early 1970s, the peregrine had been essentially eliminated from the eastern United States as a breeding species, with populations severely reduced across Europe and elsewhere. The recovery program that followed DDT's ban was more hands-on than the bald eagles. Cornell University's Raptor Research Group, led by Tom Cade, developed a captive breeding and release program called the Peregrine Fund, which bred peregrines in captivity and released the young birds at historic nest sites and at new sites, including urban buildings, using a technique called hacking in which the young birds were provided food until they became self-sufficient hunters. Between 1974 and 1999, the Peregrine Fund released approximately 6,000 captive-bred peregrines in North America. The population recovered. The peregrine was removed from a U.S. endangered species list in 1999. The bird that came within a generation of disappearing from the eastern half of a continent now nests in downtown Chicago and London and Sydney and Berlin. It stoops over Central Park. It raises its young on the Tate Modern. It is, by any honest assessment, one of the more successful species on Earth, distributed more widely than almost any other vertebrate, adapted to a wider range of environments than almost any other bird of prey, and performing, every time it hunts, one of the most physically extreme feats in the animal kingdom. 400 kilometers per hour, wings folded, the world below resolving at 150 frames per second. The pigeon visible in high resolution from 500 meters away, its trajectory calculated, its future position identified. The stoop begins. 1 second is a long time when you are the fastest animal on Earth. The pigeon does not know what is about to happen. It never will.